somebody's father, somebody's son, and then accuses military superiors of sitting in expensive clubs while the war continues. It is illegal in Russia to criticize the course of the Ukraine invasion, but Mr. Prigozhin apparently has a license to say what he likes.
Early results from local elections in Britain appear to show the governing Conservative Party losing a significant amount of support. Opposition Labour and Liberal Democrat candidates have so far picked up dozens of council seats. Most results are yet to be announced. Here's Chris Mason.
This was at the upper end of the estimations of Conservative losses. And what's quite striking, speaking to Labour and the Liberal Democrats as far as the day ahead is concerned, is that they had always thought that the picture would get better for them as Friday went on, and both parties think that they are in a better place than they anticipated being at this stage.
Chris Mason reporting. World News from the BBC. Shareholders of HSBC are expected to vote on the bank's fate later on Friday at an annual general meeting in the UK. HSBC's biggest stakeholder, the Chinese insurance firm Ping An, has called for the business to be split up. Indonesia says it's working behind the scenes to help resolve the political crisis in Myanmar, which began when the army seized power there 2 years ago. India's foreign minister says it's spoken to the Burmese military and Myanmar's civilian government in exile, the National Unity Government. Reports suggest the military's areas of control are shrinking in the face of attacks from armed groups that have sprung up to resist its coup. Foreign ministers of a Eurasian regional grouping, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, are meeting in the Indian state of Goa. Topics discussed have included Afghanistan and the war in Ukraine. Vineet Kure reports from Goa.
After a day of bilateral meetings, the summit kicked off with remarks from the Indian Foreign Minister. S. Jaishankar stressed the need to combat terrorism and to protect the welfare of the Afghan people. On the sidelines of the SCO meeting, China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang held talks with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said they would maintain communication and coordination over the war in Ukraine to make efforts towards a political settlement. India's strained relations with Pakistan is also in the spotlight.
World leaders and foreign dignitaries have been arriving in London ahead of tomorrow's coronation of King Charles and Queen Camilla. Representatives of over 200 countries and territories are due to attend the service at Westminster Abbey. The US First Lady, Jill Biden, is among the latest to arrive, but President Joe Biden will not be there. No American president has ever attended the coronation of a British monarch. BBC News.
This Same, with a signature bank. If crypto is going through difficult times, well, then it's clear that the bank also goes through a difficult time if they are so related. But what we see now is that this is spreading out to banks that are, typical, I would say, universal banks. Yeah. What does this mean? We have 4,000 of those small and medium-sized banks in the US.
The FDIC, the US government agency, protects the first $250,000 worth of deposits. Would it calm things if that limit were raised?
Well, it's a big discussion, obviously, and I think, what the various crises that we've seen basically show is they do it. Yeah, they do it anyway. They come in at the end of the day to protect, depositors. The question is, what's the right level, and should it be for free? Yeah, who should pay for that?
Quite, yeah. I mean, one analyst yesterday was talking about there being a sort of a negative feedback loop, these share price declines potentially feeding into more deposits being taken out, which in turn feeds further share price declines. I mean, there's something in that, isn't there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, when we look at the share price, I think the share price story is only the tip of the iceberg, really. Not all the banks are listed. So, what's going on with the other non-listed banks? So I think a story that nobody's looking at currently is the impact on the bonds. And the bonds really make the big difference because this is where the refinancing comes from. So if cost of refinancing goes up meaningfully, the margin of the bank is basically, hit.
Absolutely. Would it help if banks didn't have to market the value of a lot of their assets as frequently as they do?
I think it's also quite a discussion that's an evergreen, if you want. So I think generally speaking, transparency is a good thing. We saw this in many places, also with, Europe and in the US, going through stress tests and making sure the marks are where they're supposed to be. But then there are very special events, like, we were seeing with effectively, the bonds that they invested in, right? I mean, this is a mark-to-market loss. It's not a realized loss. Yes. You still get back 100. Yes, there is an impact over time, because of the interest rate now going up. We all understand that, but that can be spread out over years effectively. Yeah?
Exactly.
So I think it is not such a burning issue now.
The other key assets that these banks hold, of course, is their customer loans. I mean, is the deterioration of the loan book in many cases enough to justify what we're seeing?
Well, actually, currently, we still don't see a major pickup of NPLs. I think, there is cost of risk is going up, yes, but we're also coming from an ultra long period of extremely low cost of risk and NPLs. So I think to a certain extent, we're going a bit back to normal.
Yeah, but so where does this all end?
I think, it's interesting to compare probably also the US, Europe. Yeah, I think, you see a lot of turmoil in the US, extremely stable situation effectively in Europe still. Yeah, so it probably also means, that Europe has done a pretty good job in, regulations and putting all these things in place, stress tests and so on, being much more rigid. But still, the banking system has a lot to do because profitability is a big issue. Most business models hasn't been changed, hasn't been really properly changed. There was cosmetics, but most banks do today what they did 10 years ago.
Yeah, Martin, one more thought for you. Obviously, JP Morgan bought the majority of First Republic last weekend. Presumably, at some point, the likes of Citi, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, if we see more collapses, they're going to have to get involved. I mean, the system can't all just it can't be left to JP Morgan, can it?
No, absolutely. So I think there's a big value in having small and regional banks. Because they, are closer to their clients, and banking to a certain extent is local. You got to be close to your clients.
All right, Martin, we've got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Apple last night reported its second consecutive decline in quarterly sales. The world's biggest company reported sales of $94.8 billion for the first 3 months of the year. That was down 3% on the same period last year. It's only the third time in a decade that Apple has reported back-to-back declines in sales, and the first time in 4 years. Apple's profits, meanwhile, slipped by 3.4% to $24.2 billion. Well, the sales decline came despite a 1.5% rise in global iPhone sales and reflected declines in sales of other products, most notably Macs and iPads. The results, however, were better than expected, and Apple shares have risen by nearly 2.25% in after-hours trading. Well, joining me now from New York is Dan Ives, the Managing Director and Senior Equity Analyst at Wedbush Securities. Dan, good to see you. Thanks as ever for joining me so early in the day, your time. I mean, the iPhone has obviously done very well here. How worried should shareholders be about the overall decline in top-line sales?
Look, I think a lot of that's also because of currency. And if you look, I mean, you're seeing actually an uptick in China, and even globally, they're gaining share from Android. So this is really almost a flex the muscles moment for Apple and Tim Cook, in obviously what's a murky macro. I think investors are drinking cappuccinos today after these results.
Looking at iPhone sales in particular, does this prove definitively that Apple has put the supply chain issues that have dogged it over recent months behind it?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of looks in the rearview mirror. And as we know, I mean, that was a big issue for Apple, especially in the December quarter. China looks pretty smooth from a supply chain perspective, and demand's holding up. And I'd almost call this Rock of Gibraltar, like, in this murky macro, which continues to be the theme for big tech that's almost become a safety sector, especially given what we see in financials.
Obviously, most of the declines were forecast, Dan, with probably the exception of the Mac. I mean, they missed expectations there. How worried should people be about that?
Yeah, I think that was pretty forecasted, especially post-COVID. I mean, you had massive pull forward. So Mac, iPad, that continues to be soft here. But the hearts and lungs, and ultimately what investors are focused on, it's iPhone and its services. And those both right now feel like they're sort of navigating this, I think, better than expected. And that's really the focus point for Tim Cook. I mean, they're essentially going on the offensive here rather than defensive. And you have a $90 billion buyback in the back pocket, which is why I think the stock shows green today.
Yeah, I mean, the iPhone obviously is the locomotive that pulls everything along behind it. But is the performance in this quarter repeatable, do you think?
I do. I mean, look, I think the big number, I think the overarching most important is 25% of the 1.2 billion iPhones worldwide have not upgraded in 4 years. So that's really the golden install base. And I think that's going to continue going to this anniversary iPhone 15, as we hit into September quarter. And I think that's really the key here with Apple. That's why they're able to navigate it better than other tech players, because of the install base, because of the upgrade cycle. And China is actually showing an uptick. That's different than we saw from Qualcomm. Shows share gains for Apple. That's going to be key for the street.
Now, something that a lot of people have picked up on overnight is Tim Cook's comments about emerging markets, and particularly India. It looks like that's going to be a lot more management focus in future.
Yeah, they're doubling down on India. I mean, India today is 2-3% of revenues. We think that could be 10% in the next 3 to 4 years. And they obviously open up their new retail stores there. And this is really them diving into the deep end of the pool in India. You start to put numbers together, this could be an incremental 10 billion, per year as it all plays out.
They've got some pretty entrenched competitors in India, though. Does Apple have what it takes to win market share over there?
Well, especially on the price points, I think especially going from middle class is what they're
down to the next general election.
Dan, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to cut out of this. I do apologise. Do bear with us. We're now going to hear from Ed Davey, the Liberal Democrat leader.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic! Thank you so much. Friends, this is a wonderful morning. Liberal Democrats making big gains across the country. We've beaten the Conservatives in Bath and in Brentwood, in Hertfordshire and in Hinckley. We're making gains off Labour. We've increased our majority in Hull. And we're making huge gains across the country against the Conservatives. We're continuing to make sure the blue wall tumbles down. Yay! And I'm so proud of the result here in Windsor. Yay! And I'm so proud that when Katy Perry and Lionel Richie enter Windsor Castle for the coronation concert on Sunday, they'll be going into a ward that's represented by 3 brand new Liberal Democrat councillors. Really proud of Liberal Democrats here in Windsor Maidenhead. So many people I could mention. I do want to single out one of our new councillors, George Blundell. Age 22, what an amazing result. Thank you. But there's more to come as they continue to count the votes across the country. More gains, I think, for the Liberal Democrats to come. And that's thanks to the hard work of so many Liberal Democrat campaigners across the country. They've sent a message. The Liberal Democrats are the big winners in this year's local elections. Yay! Just like we were last year. Yay! And just like we were in 2019 when these seats were last fought. And when people have a chance to vote, when they can go into those polling stations, they're choosing to vote for a Liberal Democrat candidate, a Liberal Democrat campaigner. They know that we work hard for them, that we listen to their concerns, and they will never take them for granted. The people have sent a huge message, a message so loud that even someone as out of touch as Rishi Sunak can't ignore. We're fed up of waiting so long for the basics. Waiting for hours for an ambulance, days for a GP appointment, months and even years for a hospital appointment. Waiting in vain for the police to turn up when there's been a break-in. Waiting for months for a pothole to be mended and repaired. Waiting for real action to help people who are struggling with their soaring energy bills and food prices. And waiting, still waiting, for those hospitals that have been promised for years now. Waiting for an end to the sewage that these companies keep pouring into our rivers and onto our beaches. And we're waiting for the government to listen to people and stop taking them for granted. People are waiting for a fair deal. These Conservative MPs are out of touch, out of ideas, and out of excuses. People are fed up of waiting for a chance to kick them out. We're all fed up of waiting for a general election. And you know, I think there's a chance now that we can have that general election within the next year. And I think the message is clear. The time's up for Rishi Sunak and his appalling Conservative government. The Liberal Democrats have shown that we are the ones working hard in communities across our country. We're the ones to beat so many Conservatives across the blue wall and beyond. And I'm determined that the Liberal Democrats keep working, don't take people for granted, show our amazing policies. And so my message to my party is a great night for us, but let's go back and work even harder so we can beat the Conservatives at the next general election. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow.
There we go, very jubilant Ed Davey there, the leader of the Liberal Democrats. We'll get more election updates for you throughout the morning here on Sky News. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to Dan Ives. We've been talking about Apple's results. Dan, thanks very much for bearing with us. Put these results for me into context, if you'd be so kind, with what we've been hearing from all the other tech giants over the last week or so.
I mean, Ian, when you look at big tech, I mean, big tech has really been a shining star in this market. And I think it's further and further almost a safety sector for investors. Big tech's cutting costs, but yet demand's holding up better than feared. I think that's why, you know, especially after these numbers, you're going to see more and more investors focused on these stocks. I still think tech stocks have another 10 to 15% upside the rest of the year. And you walk away just further confident from Apple to Google to Amazon to Microsoft in terms of what we're seeing overall demand.
One very interesting point of difference between Apple and some of its peers is that while the likes of Alphabet, Meta have been laying off employees, Amazon as well, Apple hasn't. Why not?
Well, I mean, a lot of those peers, I mean, they were spending money like 1980s rock stars during the pandemic. Apple wasn't. I mean, they hired, but not as aggressive as the likes of Meta, Google, and others. And that's why they're in much more of a position to sort of cut costs around the edges, but also aggressively spend in AI and some other areas. It also just speaks to, you know, Cook continues to sort of be that Hall of Fame CEO, navigating Apple through this and actually gaining share at the same time.
Dan, you talked earlier on about the replacement cycle and how potentially that supports Apple's earnings in coming months. But what about pricing? Did we hear anything from Tim Cook on that last night?
Yeah, I mean, they talked about what I would call, you know, very stable pricing. I think what they're not talking about, I mean, we think the average selling price is actually ahead of $900, $925. To give you some perspective, about a year and a half ago, that was $800. So you're starting to see more and more consumers go for higher end phones. That's giving them a further tailwind, more margin leverage. And ultimately, that's why in this storm that they're actually having significant tailwinds, you know, from consumers globally, especially in China, which continues to be a key ingredient in their success.
Now, the share price last night closed at around $166. I suspect I know what your answer will be, but I'll put it to you anyway. I think you've got a 12-month target of $205. What are the risks to that forecast on the downside or the upside?
Oh, I think this is a stock that goes higher from here. I think there was some nervousness and sort of white knuckles going into this print. And I think Cupertino, yet again, flexed their muscles. I think this is a stock on its way to 200, you know, based on what we see in terms of demand, especially in this market.
All right, Dan, got to leave it there. Thanks again for joining me so early in the day and staying with us. Thank you. Some other business news stories for you now. And shares of International Airlines Group, the owner of British Airways and Aer Lingus, have risen by 2.75% this morning after the company said profits for the year would be better than expected. IAG said that leaving off one-off items, it made an operating profit of €9 million for the first 3 months of the year. That compared with a loss of €741 million during the same period last year, and was the first time since 2019 that the company had traded profitably during the quarter. Luis Gallego, IAG's chief executive, said particularly strong demand in Spain and Latin America, as well as en routes to the USA, had helped Iberia to its best ever first quarter performance and made it one of the world's most profitable airlines during the period. He said BA has also traded profitably during the quarter for the first time since 2019. The Safety, Environmental and Healthcare Services Group, Halma, is buying a business whose technology repairs and rehabilitates wastewater pipelines without the need to dig a trench. The FTSE 100 company is paying €41 million for Sewertronics, a pipe renovation solutions business based in the Polish capital of Warsaw, with further payments of up to €18 million potentially falling due, dependent on performance. Or Mark Ronchetti, Halma's chief executive, said Sewertronics' growth would be driven by the increasing need to repair ageing wastewater infrastructure and reduce wastewater links. And Intercontinental Hotels Group said this morning that its chief executive, Keith Barr, would be stepping down at the end of June after 5 years in the job. Mr. Barr, who's been at the company for more than 30 years and who steered the business through the pandemic, will be replaced by Elie Malouf, who's been running IHG's Americas business for the last 8 years. Well, the news came as IHG, whose brands include Holiday Inn, Hotel Indigo and Crowne Plaza, reported that its revenue for available room, which is a key industry metric, rose by 33% during the first 3 months of the year. Well, last night's banking-led sell-off on Wall Street was followed by mixed trading overnight in the Asia-Pacific region. As the picture, you can ignore the Nikkei in the top left-hand corner. That is closed for the third consecutive day as part of the Golden Week celebrations. Well, in Europe, stocks are largely in positive territory this morning. There you go, all the main continental European indices in positive territory right now. Talking points this morning include Adidas. Shares are ahead by 5.75% in Frankfurt, following better than expected quarterly results. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is also in positive territory, currently a third of 1% higher on gains for the oil and mining heavyweights. The leading blue chip gainer, though, in percentage terms, is IHG, which I mentioned a moment ago. On the downside, the medical equipment supplier Convatec, its shares are off by just under 1%. The chief executive has been selling stock there to pay for a tax bill. That's weighed on the share price, I think. Otherwise, there are not too many features in the FTSE this morning for investors to hang their hats on. Outside the FTSE, well, the leading mid-cap gainer right now is Wizz Air. The shares are up by nearly 3%. That is in sympathy with IAG, which, as you can see, is up just under 3% right now. On the downside, Virgin Money is another 1.5% lower. That's on the back of the drop in profits that it reported yesterday. Lower down the corporate food chain, interesting one to mention, the consultancy TPX Impact. The shares there up some 10%, and that is on news that results this year will be better than expected. On the foreign exchange market, very interesting session yesterday. Sterling rallied against the euro after the European Central Bank slowed the pace of its interest rate rises. As you can see, the pound is currently up 0.1% against the single currency. It's up by 0.25% right now against the greenback. The euro, meanwhile, is ahead by 0.6% against the dollar. As for the oil price, well, that is on course for its third weekly fall in 4 weeks. Although it's rallied this morning, a barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $73.58 a barrel. That is up 1.5% on the session. Joining me today is Neil Wilson. He's Chief Market Analyst at Finalto. Neil, good to see you this morning. I mean, the big story all week has been central banks. Where are we at the end of all that, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've had the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank in action. And, the Fed was always going to signal a pause. That's kind of what the market had been expecting, kind of pricing. But I think it was interesting. The Fed's job on Wednesday was really not to signal the pause, but to leave the door open to actually continue hiking rates. I know that sort of seems a bit contrary to the sort of consensus view that we're hearing, but I think the Fed is still in inflation busting mode, and I think the data in the US is still holding up. They are waiting to see what sort of credit tightening happens from the banking crisis. I think that there's bound to be credit tightening. But I think that the Fed doesn't want to say for sure that it's going to pause in June. It wants to at least leave that door open. The market, though, is going off in a totally different direction. The market's pricing in cuts. I think a 60% chance that the Fed actually cuts in July. Again, just seems completely at odds with what the Fed is saying. Jay Powell very, very stringent in his sort of view that there wouldn't be any cuts coming this year. So I think the Fed is going to be tighter for longer than the market is currently pricing. That has implications, obviously, for the indices, for bond markets, and where we go for the broader market from here. I think the ECB sounded a little bit dovish and only raised rates by 25 basis points, and we'd had sort of talked about maybe doing 50. But they did signal that they're probably going to do more, that inflation is too high. So I think the sort of the long and the short is that we're still in a position where the major central banks are, at least the Fed and the ECB, are data dependent. They're watching to see what's going on, and they're going to respond accordingly. The market seems to be saying that the ECB is going to be going for a bit longer in the hiking cycle in the Fed, and the Fed's going to start cutting before the ECB does. But we're getting sort of mixed messages on the data front as well. So German output today down 10%, for example, just shows the sort of the difficulty that the central banks have.
They really do. I mean, if I look at the FX markets, Neil, and the way sterling's trading against the dollar and the euro at the moment, I mean, clearly there is a view afoot there that the Bank of England is going to carry on raising, even if the ECB and the Fed are on pause right now.
Yeah, I think sterling's kind of picked up some bid really off the back of the fact that the economy is not doing as badly as we thought. We seem to be avoiding that big sort of recession at the moment, and the PMI data earlier this week has been solid. The construction data today solid. The services PMI data earlier in the week solid, but also pointing to inflationary pressures re-emerging, and that again just sort of underlines the problems. The sort of central dilemma facing the central banks, which is, as soon as you see the economy pick up, the inflation genie comes out the bottle again, and so they have to press down on the brakes again with more rate hikes. So they're in a pretty tough situation right now, but it does look like sterling can maybe make some further gains, and it does look like the dollar could be facing a tough ride if the market starts to see the Fed cutting. I think the chances though are that the Fed actually doesn't cut. I think I would go with what Jay Powell's saying. They're not going to cut this year, and that could see the dollar maybe rebound a bit later in the year.
Absolutely. Well, if they do, Christmas shopping in New York again for the first time in a few years. Neil, got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning.
Thanks a lot.
Still to come here on Ian King Live, why MasterCard is moving into payment technology with a new tech hub in Dublin. Don't go away.
To Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Broadcasting live online. Turn it on. Turn it up.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Star Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The coolest way to start your weekend. The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Star Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
All of you make my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute you, each and every one of you, and welcome you to the Friday edition of the morning show. Today is the 5th day of the 5th month. Oh, you got it? 05/05/2023 with a time now 10:40 from the hearts of London. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
But let me say massive good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, our money man, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. A massive good morning to you and to all you wonderful people listening to us from across the globe. And this morning, from my brother-in-law, Mr. Solomon Aivi, all the way in Ghana. Good morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. Regards to the family there as well. Okie dokie do. Good morning to Bishop Adeshin, Pastor Momo. Reverend Michael Esiama, massive good morning to you. Anthony Adedeji, good morning. Aziz, good morning. Hey, Tosino, all the way in Moscow. Our special envoy to Moscow. Massive good morning to you. And to you, listening to me, watching me live, wherever you might be. I salute you and I say welcome to the Friday edition of the morning show. And as we say on this platform, of course, it is. Okay, for the sake of those who have just tuned in for the first time to listen to us on the Starr Radio UK morning show, the Friday edition, this is how the program will go, or this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update will continue from there. We'll have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then exactly at 11 o'clock, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining in to bring you updates from Nigeria. The discussions continues. At 12 o'clock, we open the lines for you to add your voice to the discussions. But before then, you are able to post all your comments and your thoughts on our platform, the various platforms that we are broadcasting on. But we'll leave there and then look at some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. Going through archaeology to zoology, Accra to Zanzibar, it's making the headlines. As I say all the time, we're going to be touching on that.
I worship you.
Then at 12:30, we'll take you straight to Kent, where our money man is, to bring you or to put some money in your pockets on the money hour. Then after that, the curtains are brought down for the end of the program. So in the gist, that's what's going to be happening. But of course, the program will not be void of music. I'm going to bring you all sorts. So get yourself up and let's take this journey, not to the unknown, but to the known. Once again, welcome to the program. So let's crack on. The quote for the day says, no one attains anything in life without some form of expenditure. Success never comes on a silver platter. So Yes, there is cost involved. It could be financial cost, it could be health cost, it could be what? Sacrificing your pleasure and everything. Yes, there is a cost to pay to get that success that you really, really want. It doesn't come with your hands in your, as my head pastor would say, your Valentine ties. All right then. So that is the quote for the day. Now let's move on straight to the weather front. Let me tell you the weather, especially those of you here in London and the southeast of England, and what is going to be happening today. Okay. It's the coronation weekend, and therefore tomorrow, yes, and then Monday we have the bank holiday as well. So it's going to be a long weekend once again, like last week's. But let me tell you what the weather is going to be for you today, tomorrow, and on Monday as well. Now, this afternoon, sunny spells will develop, but scattered showers will soon break out as well. Some of these will turn heavy and develop into thunderstorms with a local risk of hail. But it's going to be mild though. Tonight will turn mostly dry. Patches of cloud will be moving in from the south and results in a mixture of clear spells and periods of cloud. Now when it comes to the temperatures, 18 degrees is going to be the top, 9 degrees is going to be the lowest. UV level is going to be moderate, pollen level, moderate, pollution low. Sunset 2030, my apologies, and sunrise for tomorrow morning, 05:26 hours. But when it comes to the weekend weather, how is it going to be like on the weekend? Tomorrow morning will become overcast with an area of rain pushing its way from the south. Drier in the afternoon, but lingering showers will still be possible. It's going to be turning breezy. Then comes Sunday, cloudy. Yes, a top temperature 20 degrees, the lowest 10 degrees. Then come Monday as well, the bank holiday Monday. Now, top temperature 17 degrees, the lowest 11 degrees, but a mixture of rain and cloudiness there. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the weather forecast for you today. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break, and once we come back, I'll take you on your journeys. If you want to be traveling around, well, here in the UK, there seem to be some roads that have been cordoned off due to the coronation. But we'll be telling you more about all that when we bring you the travel update. Stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. Let's take this quick commercial break and we continue from there. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads as we keep on navigating you throughout the day. So what is happening on the travel this morning? Let me tell you more about that. For those of you in London who love to travel on the underground this morning, I can tell you shortly, good service throughout. On the London Tram Link, good service, DLR, good service there. But the London Overground has got severe delays. Let me tell you what is happening on the London Overground. Severe delays between Stratford and Clapham Junction to Richmond, while they fix points failure at Stratford. So please check if you have to travel on that line before you leave. Now, on the major roads in London, well, Blackwater now has got serious delays due to what? Blackwater now Southern approach at the junction of Tunnel Avenue reduced to 2 lanes due to a carriageway widening as part of works relating to the Silvertown Tunnel scheme. So overnight works further reduce the carriageway to 1 lane. So if you are traveling on that, be rest assured you're going to be caught up in some serious delays. Also, central London red routes, serious delays there as well. And you know for sure, due to the coronation and everything that is going on, there will be some roads that are going to be cordoned off and some few things there. So please check before you leave. Let's move on straight to the river bus. Let's see what is happening on the river bus. I can tell you assuredly, good service there. The landing cable car has also got good service. Now keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. Also keep you navigated. I promise upon. Let's move on to the final segment of the travel updates. That is the National Rail. So on the National Rail this morning, cross country, First Trans-Pennine Express, Greater Anglia, Northern Rail, and Southwestern Railway have all got minor delays. That aside, Great Western Railway has got severe delays. You can avoid that. Do your best to avoid that. But if not, I can tell you shortly, all the others have got good service. Continue to keep your eyes and listen to Star Radio UK. Because as and when there are any changes, we promise you one thing for sure. We'll bring it to the fore. But on that note, let me say it once again, as I do say it loud. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
This is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and that means it's time for what? Global Trotting. Let's go. I do say at times it gets bumpy, but hey, be rest assured that we'll take you to or get you to your destination, and the destination is giving you all the information that you need to know from what is happening, from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar. It's making the headlines. Why not? We're going to be touching on it. But when it comes to some of the stories I'm going to be looking at when it comes to Nigeria this morning, interestingly, the president spokesperson Fashola is saying that this wasn't Laya Muhammad. Fashola, he said, well, Buhari is leaving Nigeria better than when he took over. Now, if you are listening to me from Nigeria today, do you think the president has done better for you in your current situation? How was your life before he took over? Do you reckon that things are better for you? Well, we would like to hear from you. And again, gunmen killed two injured military officer in southern Kaduna. And Nigeria government attempts to kidnap Chief Sunday Igboho from Benin. Oh my word. Well, we're telling you more about that this time around. Not from not the one like renditioning Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. They want to rendition him from Benin. Interesting. But I'll be telling you more about that. Okay, some other stories making the rounds there as well when it comes to Niger. Gowon begs Atiku Obi to abide by tribunal ruling. What has Atiku and Obi done? All that they are doing is that they think that, well, they were not treated fairly or the elections wasn't free and fair, and I'm just calling the tribunal to do the right thing. So what is Gowon saying there? That just like we say back in Ghana, and they say, oh, just give it to God if the ruling goes against you, when you can see blatantly that some things are not being done, like the petition, the election petition that took place in Ghana, where people who, I mean, it was like they call them unanimous 7 or unanimous 6 or unanimous 11, whichever they are, and you see things like that going on blatantly, and he shush, well, he should come again. Now, Tinubu inauguration, Shehu Sani reacts as KMO FFK fire Kadina or Nayikan over comments, and then victory for Atiko Obi would have retired many APC leaders. That's what Buhari's aide is saying. So they know that, well, that's why they would do everything in their power to make sure that whether by fair or foul means, they just keep themselves in power. And that's what seems to have happened. But we'll tell you more about that. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well. No alarm has just been my apologies. An alarm has just been raised on Thursday that the Nigerian government, led by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, have attempted to kidnap popular Yoruba Nation and self-determination campaigner. But we'll be telling you more because, interestingly, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who is a spokesperson for the group, that's the Yoruba Nation group. So we'll be looking at that. So just stay tuned. You don't want to miss out on what we're going to be unveiling this morning. Now, let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. And this time round on the African, some part of the African continent. I was going to say on the African continent. Nigeria is part of Africa, right? Okay. Now, Sudanese Special Envoy urges rebels to put down arms. Are they going to be doing so or what? And Japan pledges to help Mozambique fight terrorism. Interesting. Japan has been one of the countries that have been quiet when it comes to the war engagements and stuff like that. They've been quite quiet there. However, they are pledging to help Mozambique fight terrorism. Let's see. Let them bring their expertise on board and let's see what they will have there. But interestingly, Rwanda families are grieving, counting costs after floods, landslide killed 130. Well, there are more coming your way. And when it comes to Rwanda still, Pope defrocks Rwandan priest accused of fathering a child. Now, I saw that story and I was asking myself the question, what about those fathers or priests who have abused children who they don't know about? What have they done about it? And this one, they are giving birth, so now interesting. But well, that is what they decided to go in for. They knew that was the requirements when you have to be a priest in the Roman Catholic Church. So, well, kudos to them. Okay, lots more going to be coming your way from there as well. Moving on straight to some other stories making the rounds. Now, is Kwabena Dujanvi the same as Reverend Kusi Boateng, High Court judge quizzes? Well, interesting. And this all pertains to the National Cathedral. Well, a Blackwood expose on National Cathedral distortions of fact National Cathedral Secretariat are saying. So what is the truth there? You say, okay, the person is lying. So tell us the truth. Let us know what exactly the truth is. That has not come in yet. But we'll be telling you more about all that in a moment. It's coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, interestingly, Joe Garte is said to be capable of winning power in 2024. That's what the MPP Ahafo is saying. Interesting. When it comes to their own camp, do you think that Joe Garte is capable of beating Kennedy Japan, Alan Chermante, and the Vice President Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia? Well, maybe, as we say all the time, if a blind man says he's going to be stoning you, be careful. You might not know. He might have his foot on a stone. But is it or isn't it? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And let me put this last story and then we'll come to the UK and other parts as well. The University of Ghana has announced its youngest student at the university's business school to have achieved the highest professional level in accountancy. At 18 years, Princess Coco Boateng has achieved the feat of being the youngest ever student to qualify as a chartered accountant in the history of Ghana. And I say kudos to her. Wow. Congratulations. We'll be telling you more about that. We like celebrating. I mean, it's not always that we have bad news coming from there. No. Some good news comes and we have to celebrate it. and we celebrate her. Congratulations, Princess Koko Boateng. We are proud of you. All right then. So now let's move on to other parts of the world as well. Looking at some of the other stories making the rounds this morning. Okay, just bear with me. All right. Now in the UK, it's happening live. Now I've got with me results. 62 out of the 320 councils that went to the polls yesterday, and Labour has gained 122, and then Conservatives have lost 235, Lib Dems have gained 63, Independent candidate 22, Green Party 35, and RA, which I will tell you more about that, they got -1. Okay, so what do you think? Does that mean that if we go for elections in 2024, Conservatives will be wiped off? But somebody say that, well, the policies that are being used when it comes to local elections are different from the national agenda. So maybe they will do better when it comes to national elections, but not the local ones. What do you think? We'll tell you more about that. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, interestingly, has he been bribed? Has he been paid? Or is he telling the truth? The Wagner boss says he will pull troops out of Bakhmut. Now, his statement came after he posted a video among dead fighters asking Russia for more ammunition. So why is Russia not supplying more ammunition? Well, they are trying to use missiles and then drones to hit targets in Kyiv or in Ukraine. But they think their fighters at the battlefront or on the battlefield, what are they doing to support them? He's calling it, but you know, it's one person who can actually make that noise and will not be chastised, because we know that if you dare make a noise or critique the government for its policies when it comes to the Ukrainian war, you will be, let me put it mildly, put down. Okay, so what do you think is happening there? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Fight after Russia snatches Ukrainian MP's flag. Okay, let me bring you that story and then we'll listen to some music and we'll have Mr. Olayomi. A fight broke out between members of the Ukrainian and Russian delegation at a summit in the Turkish capital, Ankara. Now, the scuffle was sparked when Russian delegation secretary Valery Stavitsky snatched a flag from a Ukrainian MP. Now, Ukrainian MP Alexander Marykovsky had unfurled the banner behind Russia delegate Olga Timofeeva as she was being interviewed. So someone was being interviewed and he brought the flag. Ooh, see us. And then he decided, let's snatch it. But you know, when you are doing things in the glare of the cameras, we have to be careful, aren't we? All right then. So lots more going to be coming your way from there, wherever you are. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Yes, a minute after 11. But let's join Eli J. It says, hallowed be your name. It is Friday, isn't it? Okay, enjoy it and I'll be with you.
Glory to your name, Jesus. Aha! Put your hands together, come on! We worship you, Lord. Voices and say, hallowed be your name. Whatever comes our way, we lift our voices and say, hallowed.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Oh Lord, the one who is to come. We lift our voices and say, hallowed. The beginning and the end. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. With a grateful heart, come on. If you feel voice, say, Jesus, Jesus, you never
together. Come on. Oh Lord. To the mighty God. To all the words that is to come. Come on, come on. Put your hands together. We worship you, Lord Jesus. Oh, we'll take that one more time now.
This is Starr Radio UK.
We say, wave your hands to him. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Dear Lord, no one, whatever comes our way, we lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Oh my, no one who is to come. Are you ready to meet him? We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Oh dear Lord, the beginning and the end. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus.
This is Starr Radio UK.
You will never fail. You are just the same. Always the same, Lord. Yesterday, today. Oh Lord, take a look at me. Look at me, the one you say. I know you have testimonies. Oh Lord, hallowed be. Sing to the great and mighty God. Lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You have never failed. You are just the same. Oh, just the same. Yesterday. What a beautiful Lord you are. Take a look at us. Look at me, the one you say. Oh Lord, hallowed be. All around the world, lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You will never fail. You are just the same. The same, Lord.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Look at me, the one you say. Oh Lord, hallowed be.
Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Jesus, Jesus, you have never failed. You will never fail. You just
Oh yeah, Jesus never fails.
my yesterday.
Hallowed be the name of the Lord.
Take a look at us.
Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. From Eli J. And I hope that you've enjoyed it. Pastor Mo says, thank God for Friday. May the Lord bless the works of your hands in Starr Radio. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. My bishop, thank you very, very much. More blessings. May he deliver Africans from backwardness and upgrade us in Africa and give us good government in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, we're going to be joined by Mr. Olayomi in the next few moments.
Jesus, you never fail. You will never fail. You are just the same. Always the same, Lord. Yesterday, today.
It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well.
Oh Lord, hallowed be. Sing to the great and mighty God.
Okay, so let's cross over to our North London studios where we have Mr. Olayomi who is all ready to bring you everything that you need to know about stories that is making the rounds in Nigeria today. And with me in the studio as well, I've got Mr. Frank Davis here, and we're going to be making big waves. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial, just continue to stay in there. Post your comments as Pastor Momo has done as well, and we tell you one thing for sure, we're gonna read it, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whichever. Just continue to post your posts there. All right then. So let's go to North London studios where I have Mr. Olayomi and let me say, Yomi, good morning. Okay, I think Yomi's line is dropped. Don't you worry, we'll get him. 11 the time. But I just want to ask you a question pertaining to the federal government, let me put it that way, renditioning of Nnamdi Kanu. The rendition Nnamdi Kanu, the outer world, yes, international world have not said much about it. They didn't say, why did you do that? And we think that it's not fair, and maybe some sanctions will be placed against you. Nothing of the sort had been done. Well, the courts have ruled that he needs to be released, and nothing of the sort has been done. Jesus, you have the, what do you call them, DSS, who have gone to the High Court to get another chance of labeling some other charges against him.
Take a look at us.
And so he's still incarcerated. The other time when we were having a chat, Frank was of the view that he should have been at least released and then rearrested, so that you know that at least we adhere to the rules of the court. But nothing of the sort happened. And now we have the latest information coming through saying that, wow, an attempt on the life of Chief Sunday Igboho also took place. And this time around, what did they want? They really wanted to okay, another capture and then just fly him to Nigeria. Oh my. But as I did say, Mr. Olayomi Kweki will be the one throwing more light on it this morning for you. So wherever you are, don't tag the down. Let's cross over to our North London studio now, where I think Yomi's line is stable and we can go to him. Yomi, good morning.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to everyone that have joined us so far. And welcome once again to Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, the last day of the week, and likewise the most important weekend in the history of the world. Because when we talk about Great Britain, it's got quite a lot of relationship when it comes to Nigeria. And this weekend, it is all the coronation, as I believe already the president himself has arrived in UK, even though we've not seen any images of him. So, but I'm aware that he must have left on Wednesday, but by tomorrow we will probably be able to confirm. Quite a lot to discuss this morning as usual. 11 minutes past 11 at the 5th, 2023. What a very beautiful time, what a very beautiful day as it is. And you can still, very good background there, says 40 years to pay back the debt, which is just part of a problem Nigerians are facing. Good morning to you, Mr. Archie, and I'll come again back to you in the studio. Good morning to all our listeners on the sister broadcast that have tuned in as well from around the world.
Okay, let me say good morning to everyone on the sister broadcast, all the other networks, that's a platform that we are broadcasting on. We salute each and every one of you. As I say all the time, without you, there will be no need for us sitting here every day to discuss anything. So your patronage is very, very important to us, and thank you. Kudos. All right then. Now, interestingly, like you said, behind you, 23 trillion naira. It's going to take 40 years before Nigeria can return to maybe a middle income country. I don't know whether that's going to happen at all. But Fashola says that, well, Buhari is leaving Nigeria better than when he took over. Yomi, you'll be talking to most Nigerians now. You can tell us about that. Yeah,
the government are just trying to put the big narrative to President Muhammadu Buhari's after 8 years. I mean, if we go back to what some of his media aides are saying, which I have been following in the last couple of days, it seems now that they are putting everything to defend what Buhari has done. Let me tell you what Garba Shehu actually said before we come back to Fashola. Remember, we talked about Fashola just yesterday because Fashola, could not tell us where 6 trillion naira, rent across part of the 36 states. It was actually saying that we should ask the SGF. Garba Shehu also posted just about few days ago, and this is what he had to say, trying to see if we can get that headline, quite a lot of their page. Okay, let me discuss the issue of the Fashola, that we get the Gabashew, what he's actually saying. Fashola, as we know, is one of the minister for Buhari, and a very, very important minister, because when it comes to most of the road network in Nigeria. But it seems that what they are doing right now is to literally tell Nigerians that Buhari has done more than enough, because their argument is that when President Muhammadu Buhari took over from PDP after 16 years, PDP left a huge amount of debt. The crude oil was completely drained. I mean, in terms of the revenue, because remember that the PDP had, the opportunity, for 16 years when we were having more than over $100 per barrel. But today it's almost about $80. But when Buhari came in, it was a little bit, below that. But just about 2 days ago, under 48 hours ago, Gabashew also went ahead to say President Buhari achievement, the best response to the Punch adversity. So Punch should stop living in denial. So this is the media, for the president, the official head of the media saying that the paper in Nigeria should stop living in denial. The question is not about the paper in Nigeria. It's all about the Nigerians, that are asking questions that Buhari promised change, next level, and is leaving Nigeria with the inflation, with the insecurity. But Gabashew went on to say this survivor fund has provided grant, to more than 1.2 million beneficiaries since the last quarter of 2020. It also provided free business registration to 250,000, MSE across the country. Nor will it be forgotten by the owners of the new 40+ fertilizer companies. So it seems that, as usual, it's just a bit of, defending the government that they've all served for the last 8 years, whether it's from the media or whether it is Fashola, also the minister under President Muhammadu Buhari.
Interesting. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. Archie here with Mr. Frank Davids as well. But before we go to the other stories, let me have Frank's mind on something. Let me say, Frank, good morning to
Archie,
you as
good
well.
morning, and good morning to Olayomi.
Good morning to you.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, we have leaders that we elect into position. As to whether the election is free, fair, or whatever, we say we've elected them, and we think that there are people who sort of understand our situation,
right?
And therefore, here in the UK, people are talking about Rishi Sunak, who is a billionaire, okay, and therefore think that he doesn't actually understand what the ordinary person faces daily. So if now Fashola, who is it the media spokesperson for the president, has come out to say, you know what, Buhari is done better, and before even the state at which he's living the country is far better than what he came to meet, then you ask yourself, hello, are you for real?
Archie, he's 100% right.
He is
100% right. Why do I say he's 100% right? He did not go to say that Nigeria has been transformed totally. He did not go to say that, look, for whatever Buhari has done, Nigeria will never be poor again. You have to look at the objectives which leads to people seeking power. If you take Fashola, for instance, what was his life before Buhari took over? If you measure the progress he has made, his personal design, then you realize that for those who are well connected, they are better off. All right, take Africa. When oppositions are crying, most of them, when they come, they transform themselves, and when it gets to that point, their measure of success becomes what they can see, what they feel. They are not in touch with reality. So whereas in the past he found it very difficult to fuel his car, now he has 10 cars that he can fuel at ease. everything around him, which has his immediate experience, because your family gives you your immediate reality.
Yeah.
You go to market and you're able to see the cost of eba, the cost of one shaki, the cost of one bitter leaf, the cost of one, what do you call it, pepper soup. The other time when I wanted to get one for pepper soup, it was finished. It was finished. Actually, so the reality is that their lives, what circles them, people who give them information, keep on telling them that, look, it's right. So all the noise that you are making is because you are not appreciating what the good Buhari has done. And again, you are in opposition. That is why anytime people complain across Africa, we do not look at the reality, we do not look at what the people are saying. We are quick to say he belongs to ACP, he belongs to PCP, he belongs to Abombelet, or he belongs to Ampicillin, or whatever you want to call it. So Fashola, from his perspective, is right. Nigeria should have told him that he's wrong if they had gone their way to reject them overwhelmingly in the polls. Yeah. Because that's the only measure. For what we do know now, apart from the corruption, apart from unfairness of the election, what the records will show is that Nigeria repose confidence in APC, and that is due to their performance. That's what the history books. If there's any other evidence, show it. But for now, what we do have is that APC has won election, and that means that endorsement of what Buhari has done.
Wow. Now, if you are listening to us, do you think that is the way? Now, Prince Abimbola also says, "Good morning, Star Radio crew. Thank God it's Friday." Fashola is Abimbola. I don't get it very well. So Fashola is back. Oh, saying that statement. Okay, I think that one I cannot say it on there. So for saying that statement, you use some terms there. All right then, whether it's backwards or okay, let's leave it that way. But Yomi, interestingly, what has Nigerians listening to that statement that Fashola has made? What have been the reaction on the ground?
Well, I mean, Nigerians are probably fed up with President Muhammadu Buhari, and probably maybe those that are still, having opportunity in the government, are still, praising, these government. But as many Nigerians have now, asked, they can't wait. In as much as the APC is still in government, because the president-elect Bola Tinubu will be taking over, and he has actually said he's going to continue from where Buhari stopped. That literally means that maybe Tinubu will have to bring in some new changes that will then relieve Nigerians from what they're going through right now. But like I said, there's just as much as Nigerians believe, and that was why they were asking for a different individual, which as many wanted Peter Obi, but that didn't happen. Tinubu actually said it in Rivers State. He won the election and everybody should just come and work with him. But it seems that is not going to happen, because come Monday, the petition tribunal will kickstart from Abuja.
Wow. Listen, it's Star Radio UK. The petition tribunal is going to start on Monday. We're going to be going there straight. Now, Prince Abimbola says he was saying that Fashola is sick. Okay, we said it. All right then. Sick in the head. That's what he meant. All right then. Now let's move on straight to a statement that the former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, has said. Now he's pleading with presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and his Labour Party counterpart Peter Obi, as well as other candidates in the 2023 general election, to allow the Election Petition Tribunal and the judiciary to perform its role in the post-election period. Now, the elder statesman who made the appeal on Thursday in Abuja during the 15th Punuka lecture and symposium in honor of the late Justice of the Supreme Court, Chike Idigbe, said aggrieved candidates should abide by rulings of the tribunals in the interest of the nation. Now, I will come to you, Yomi, first, but I know that Frank will have something to say about this, because the last election that Ghana held, there were some flaws. And now they will say, go to the courts. Now they went to the courts. They went to the courts, and when the defense, the lawyers for the petitioners were saying that, look at that, all that were saying that the judges, some way, somehow, okay, I cannot put my hand on heart to say that somebody bribed somebody this, that. I'm not sure, I can't say that. But some way, somehow, we saw that their thoughts were all some way, somehow, in their pockets. And that is what programmed. So they did it. So if Gowon is saying that, you know what, guys, just take it cool. Whatever the court says, just take it like that. Then I don't think it's being fair there.
No, Archie, the whole thing is that who are the courts? Who are? Let's say you're gonna look at this like a network. Some of you are in the court, some of you are in the judiciary, some of you are in the banking sector, that is finance, some of you are in politics to lead a fight. But we have to all work in unison towards one goal, which is to profit ourselves. Most of them, that's what they will do. So we as electoral commission, I am supposed to do my job. I've done it. I've declared you. Me as political party, I have to send my tax to disrupt election and do whatever I can do. I've done my part. Now the results, I'll give you money to bribe those who are collating the result. I've done my part. Now it falls on your table. Electoral commission, do the needful and declare me. Once you declare me, you have done your part. Now the judiciary is up to you. You're gonna just find a way of also doing your part. At the end of the day, we all break ice and we drink. That's exactly what the system. But you see, if you look at what happened in Kenya, you spend the whole situation as well. The same thing of Africa. Ghana is, you cannot measure, you cannot use Ghana to measure. I mean, for me, it was a but. I mean, whatever went on.
Unanimous 11 or
unanimous 7.
7 now.
Okay. And especially when it got to a point where the EC was supposed to come and testify, knowing that the court Tokuno, who has been nominated, was instrumental in telling Chachu that don't worry. You don't have to put this now. When it's her turn, the EC turn, she'll come and answer that question. Only to get to that place to say, oh, well, she says she will not answer, and the law says you cannot compel her. Are you getting it? Meaning that you actually set the issue up, and we all saw that. I mean, from the one, it's like a referee and a linesman who will find you offside even though you are not offside. And if you score a goal that goes against your team, they tell you tackle someone first, the way you took the ball was unfair. When you want to question the rule books, they'll tell you when football started, people were being cut down anyhow, and it was accepted. And that's exactly what the Chief Justice in Ghana's case did, because they went and brought a law that is not even in our constitution to basically suppress our constitution. They say black law, which is not part of our constitution
at all.
And so they set aside something that our constitution says we should do, and say, okay, this is an international book, let's go for it. I mean, that in certain cases will be subverting of our constitution. Some people wouldn't have accepted it, but Christians as we are, we accepted it. Nigeria case, I still have hope that, look, whether it's going to be victory or not victory, the opposition parties must do whatever it takes to be able to use the media, the social media, to their advantage. In my view, every evidence that has to be, if they can even do simultaneous screening of it, if they are not going to stream, they should do so that the evidence is played out publicly. What it does is that it gives everybody opportunity that, one, we're not just making noise. We have enough evidence to show that this president that you have was not elected, but was selected by the few. That is where we begin to talk about reforms that are needed, and in my view, it's possible. So opposition, this is an opportunity. There are two goals to be scored. One was the presidency. You couldn't score it now. The other one is about the needed reform. So you're gonna look at it those way, and they should use this opportunity to try to do everything to generate that interest in reforms.
Okay. Now, thank you very much, Frank. Now, Yomi, do you think that Nigerians are interested in the tribunals? That's the election tribunal tool. Are Nigerians interested in it?
Nigerians are not just interested, they're expecting, the best from the tribunal. In as much as, we know that we have, a judicial system that is not, hasn't been fair, but this time around, Nigerians believe that, justice will be served, and whatever the outcome, then that will then probably bring, a bit of peace within the three, candidates from Peter Obi to the right-hand side. On the center is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, and Atiku, the second runner as well. But the question has always been, the saboteurs. It seems that the military has a kind of information that we have been talking about, before the election, that there is still probability that there will be a coup in Nigeria. It is still, something that is still debatable. But the handover, again, the military is warning saboteur. The question you asked is got to do whether Nigerians believe in the election tribunal. Yes, a lot of Nigerians believe that the election was rigged, the election is not fair, and I could understand exactly what Frank was saying. It seems that what INEC chairman have done is, he has conducted the election as requested under the law after, President Buhari tenure, is going to come to an last. But then it is up to the judiciary to take over. But do we also have some kind of what we can call, saboteurs that will probably not be interested in the tribunal election, would not be interested in the handover, but they are trying to truncate this handover that could then lead to what we believe could be the next military coup in Nigeria. And if that happened, they will probably have to have a 2-year transition, because normally that is what the military does. The military is again one against plans to sabotage the handover of power to President-elect Bola Tinubu on May 29. We are just literally 24 days before May 29. The High Command said the armed force were on standby and would ensure a smooth transition process. I don't think that is the job of the armed force in the first place, since Nigeria is a democratic country. But it seems that, as we know, there is a lot of movement between the military, in what we can call a coup. But the director of the defense of the media, Major General Musa Damadami, handed down the warning yesterday as a former military head of state, like you've been saying. Yakubu Gowon advised candidates challenging the outcome of the last election to accept the court verdict. So what they are preparing is, should the court verdict not even go in line with the choice of whatever the party or the the individuals or the groups of people, because we have all kind of different stakeholders, whether it's the diaspora that still believe that Bola Tinubu won the election, or the Nadeco in America that believe that the election was a shambles and they would not want such, and they actually took a lot of protests in America, or the Nigerians that are supporting Peter Obi. So it seems already that they are already preparing the mind of Nigerians that everyone should accept the court verdict. But since we are not spirit, we cannot decide what the court verdict will be. But I'm sure Ike Kirimadu's court verdict will be known by the end of today here in London.
Well, Ike's will be known by the end of today. But did he address the president-elect? Let me put it that way. Did he tell Tinubu as well that, look, you also have to accept the court verdict, because if it goes against you, because what he's trying to, the way he's put the statement, makes him, you see him sort of leaning toward the fact that the ruling is going to go against the opposition. That's how I see it. But has he told Tinubu that, okay, if it goes against you as well, you should be prepared to sort of relegate power and let whatever be? Has he addressed him as well?
Well, the message is not just for Atiku and Peter Obi, is also for Tinubu, so, and also all their supporters, both in Nigeria and outside the country.
Okay. Listen, I say Starr Radio UK, 11:33 the time. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Kwekina in North London Studios. With me in the studio in the south here is Mr. Frank Davis and Archie. Now let's move on. One story that if I don't talk about today, I don't think I will be ending the program, is the attempted kidnapping, and I don't know whether they're trying to rendition Chief Sunday Igboho. I mean, how many months now since the rendition, captured and rendition Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria? Now, as I did say earlier on, the international community have not made much noise for us to know that what Nigeria did was wrong. I'm not sure I've heard anything of that fact where we have maybe the British government, the Americans all condemning Nigeria and saying that wasn't on, and therefore maybe some sanctions. I've not heard anything of the sort. So I think it's giving the country or the federal government more power now to go after Chief Sunday Igboho as well. Can you tell us more about what happened? And have you spoken to Sunday Igboho, and how is he doing as well?
Well, all these was unfolding yesterday when, the legal team, representing Chief in Benin Republic, made a courtesy visit to him, and that visit led to us understanding that the federal government of Nigeria have not yet been satisfied, with Chief Sunday Igboho still in Benin Republic, and that literally means that, they still want him out of Benin Republic. And how they can do that is by telling the government of Benin Republic to withdraw its security personnel that is currently having in Benin Republic, which President Patrick Talon has granted based on not just the evidence that the allegation put to by Nigeria to Benin Republic did not carry any weight just after the assassination attempt of his life. After all the court case in Benin Republic, it seems the Benin government and the judiciary believe that Igboho should be released into Benin Republic but should not be handed over to President Muhammadu Buhari. But it seems that Buhari is not satisfied yet because when the news popped up, like I said yesterday, it indicates that the Nigerian government is still making all the attempt. Let me now bring a little bit of information to that. We've been talking about the saboteur, the coup. We have information that this government is working, in a way to create havoc within the territory of Benin Republic and then shift the blame on Chief Sunday Igboho. And likewise, there's also a lot of other information that cannot be going into, the public consumption. But one thing we've said continuously is that Chief Sunday Igboho has won his case against the federal government in Nigeria. He has not been to Nigeria since over a year and a half now. He has been in Benin Republic. But because they couldn't get him just as, Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and rendition, it is now a failed attempt. But again, who are those that are trying to sabotage these arrangements that the government of Benin Republic have provided for Chief Sunday Igboho? But after all these extra security has now been put in place just for his own safety in Benin Republic.
Now, interesting. So is the Benin, okay, or the Benin Republic, as you're saying, that is providing the security for him. It's not him personally, right?
No, this is a state protection, which is different from whatever arrangement he must have had for himself. But after he left, the facility was kept in where he's now much more in his own private residence in Benin Republic. Security has been provided around the clock. But after all these, more extra has been provided because of some of the other information, like I said, that cannot go into the into the public consumption.
But have there been any reaction from the Benin officials?
Like I said, we were able to know this through his legal team that are been called to attention by the Benin government. But the Nigerian government have not said anything yet. But we do know that saying something is not the issue, but evidence is pointing, just as we have said, that even the military themselves are already asking any kind of saboteur for May 29. So it's all about the May 29. It seems that something is being played behind the door that could then fall into Benin Republic, and we've said it, just as we said yesterday during the press statement, that the reason why Chief is enjoying this immunity in Benin Republic is because Benin Republic might be a very small country in West Africa, but they are still operating under the international law as against Nigerian government that have not respected, the international law, and has also not respected the Universal Right of Declaration of 1948 that even the President Joe Biden spoke about at the last UN General Assembly. We're talking about the Article 3, right to life, Article 17 and Article 6, and so many of such. And let us also remind, that the Yorubas have already taken the government of President Muhammadu Buhari and some of his, security chief to the International Criminal Court 12 days after the invasion of Chief Sunday Igboho's house on the 1st of July 2021, and that case is still pending. But this time around, it seems that Nigerian government needs to be very careful so that we don't have Nigeria and Benin Republic relationship falling apart. And not just that, the Yoruba that are in Benin Republic and the Yoruba in the Nigeria might also have conflict as well.
Wow, listeners, interesting one. I will go to Frank, but before that, let me say good morning to Dr. Morton. Hey, we hope you are doing very, very well, and the family as well. Now, Frank, do you think that the international community has failed Chief Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu? Because if it was like, you remember when Belarus, there was this guy, a critic of the government, who was flying on the plane, and they did that. We had an international community, people chastising them, saying that it was wrong. But I've not seen same being done for this.
I mean, we have to be asking ourselves a very, very simple and basic question. What interest or what benefit will the international community get from making noise
about Chief Sunday or Nnamdi Kanu?
I mean, that's the fact. Anything that the West international community will say do, they're gonna ask the very basic question until it begins to get nasty. It begins to get nasty, then they get involved. And even the nasty issue, when it gets there, you normally will see the Western country dividing themselves. One's pushing this side, another person, so that whichever way it goes, they still benefit from it. Joseph and his siblings will still come and enjoy the meal. That's exactly. So you look at Sunday, look at what interest do they have? They don't want to rock the boat. A lot. Shell has just declared how much? Over 32 billion profit a year, 4-point-something billion within it. And Shell, we know what Shell does. Oil. We don't want to rock the boat. I mean, from any government that is in power, Shell will have intercourse with them. They don't have a problem. They want to do that because at the end of the day, serve their interest. And don't not forget, some of these huge businesses are controlled by the same people who want. You want. So, I mean, it has to be the people of Igbo, what they call it, Yoruba themselves, who has to take it as an initiative and try and push it. The only danger which I see, and let me sound a word of, I always say conflict will not be the best way to go because evidence suggests that it doesn't normally help. If you look at what is happening in Amazonia, it's not always helping us. So please, whatever we do, let's continue to petition international bodies, organization. We shouldn't be targeting we can write to the UN, but they are like Salvation Army, other international bodies. When they bind to their voices count, so that they can be partners with us. And then for this kidnap attempt, is there any organization that we can report them to? Can we, we should be able to do that. But if we say international body, we might have to do. Look, you can just imagine thousands of issues. Rwanda refugees are there. What of Rwanda?
Now we have Sudan.
Everything that. So at the end of the day, we're gonna get it to where it becomes a priority before they'll be able to talk about it.
Okay, listen, let's start ready. Okay, we're going back to Mr. Olayomi to bring us the rest. But Yomi, what has Professor said about this rendition issue?
Well, I mean, the professor has been in Benin Republic since 2021, and he continued to live there, just as Chief lives there as well. I mean, Professor has always said that Nigeria government have always disrespected the rule of law, And just like Frank says, Professor believes in the peaceful movement, and he still believes that these Yoruba nation can still be achieved, without a bloodshed. And the reason for that is because, when you look at some of the atrocities happening around the world, the one that is just going on in Sudan, then you'll be asking yourself, is war the last part, to achieve this movement? But again, going to the next headline into what we are discussing, 9 years after the Chibok girls, 3 of them have been returned back, and they've been asking, we've been asking, as much as it has taken 9 years, I was forced to marry 3 Boko Haram terrorists. Kidnapper Chibok girl narrate a 9 years ordeal. We are happy that they are back, but again, it shows that Nigeria has been, in a war zone. Even as much as we might not think in that direction. Chibok girls who survived multiple forced marriage has given birth days after she was rescued in the headline. Let's take some of the other headline quickly. Tinubu vows to make corruption unattractive, says the unity of the country is not negotiable. There can only be one president at a time. I cannot commit to expenditure, and he pledges to fulfill all his political promises. With gunfire all over, we thought we would never see home again. Returnees tell tales of the woes, and just as we say, if you have not experienced it, you might not know how it feels. You will probably leave everything behind, just as the first batch of Nigerians have arrived into the country, but we are still getting information that the Egyptian border are still turning back Nigerians that are getting into the border. At 11:45, because of time spent, Northern youth alleged plot to stop Tinubu's inauguration is coming from one of the headlines as well. APC victory saved President Buhari legacy project. Presidency is coming as well. Organ harvesting, the UK court sentenced Ike Kremadu and the wife today. Nothing is coming yet. We were almost going to go to the court, but we couldn't get the timing, and that's why we were not able to report from the Old Bailey this morning. But probably by the time we are back on Tuesday, we might have the update as well. Nigeria's 1.17 trillion allocation for health in 2023. The budget is below 11%, according to the African Union. Adoption is coming from the headline as well. We take one more, go straight to the social media. Allow judiciary to work, Gowon tells all the political parties. And then we go straight to some of what is trending. Chibok girls is trending, and the reason for that is we're saying thank you to the military for bringing back this of the 3 out of some of them that are still there as well. Maduguri is also trending. We know Maduguri is a very, very unstable situation, and I think this is a video that I'm watching. I don't know what is being said, but this is according to Alakowe, the late President Yaradua intended to fight corruption by removing all impunity from himself and all other public officials before he passed on. Maybe some people were not just happy that he's going to remove impunity. And if you remove impunity from yourself as president, then who are you to say that you don't want that to happen? So it seems that Nigerians have gone back to bring that. You were talking about Oyekan, which we discussed yesterday, but it seems that everyone knows the truth, according to Multi Evis. Everyone knows the truth. The difference between him and others is that he is courageous. I had one foodie politician speaking against him, using the Bible and the God's name against him just to please a man. Onyeku, after 33 Meduguri, Wike Sam, Amadi Anambra, and it seems that is the reason why Meduguri is trending this morning as well. So we're going to take a few more from what is trending on the social media before we come back to you in the studio. Inewi is trending as well this morning, and just as we look at the remaining part, Boko Haram is trending. Hush Puppy is trending. I'm not sure why, because we know that Hush Puppy is currently in the prison after fooling Nigerians and the world that it was a one-time estate or real estate operating from Dubai, but eventually we'd find out after the FBI, picked him up that he was using stolen money to live a kind of, he was using those stolen money, but he was also living a very large life, traveling on a first class, driving big cars, had huge followers on the social media, but right now, Hush Pop is spending some time in the prison. And in the nutshell, before we go, it seems that it is all about the weekend, as the Nigerians and the UK relationship continue to be a very strong one, but the indigenous people are continuing to question, the destiny stone that have now become the conversation. The Yorubas are saying that if this was in Yoruba, and the churches would have probably been castigating it, but it seems here in UK, it doesn't matter. It's just a spiritual stone that has been used for Queen Elizabeth the Late in 1952, and if that is repeated for the King Charles, there's nothing wrong with it. But we also have our own tradition, but those tradition has been castigated as evil by those in the Christendom. But today we saw that the Christians here in England have rallied around this stone, doing what kind of prayer around it. So tomorrow we hope the weather will be beautiful, where we'll be looking forward to the coronation of King Charles III.
Wow, listeners, interesting updates coming your way from Nigeria, and the latter story that Yomi talked about, I think we talked about it briefly yesterday before we ended.
The stone of destiny.
Yes, the stone of destiny from
Destiny stone.
Scotland. They are worshiping it. They told us that we don't worship stones.
I think we have a stone behind me there, Dr. Fayemi Health Center. So.
But it's interesting, Olayomi, at the end of the day, we talk about Ajay. Ajay and Victoria Park area.
Yeah.
We are now seeing evidence of what we call a stone. Because I was trying to find out exactly was what was the purpose of stone. We know God can use anything. Though, the Christians will tell you even sand, mud, spade and other thing was used. But it's not the stone that is hidden somewhere. When it's time to do that, you bring it out. Because that amounts to worship, like a sacred stone.
Yeah.
That becomes like worship. So the question is, we're told not to worship stones. I've always maintained that anything that is on earth, beneath it, above it, was created by God. Whether you're a Muslim, you're a Buddhist, and whether the good and evil, he said in Isaiah, it was good. So for me, I believe stones are good. People worship animals. The Buddhists, the Indians worship elephants, cows. The cows and the elephants. So at the end of the day, my question is, what is the stone doing in there? It's not that they just put the stone over there. They went, surrounded it, pray for it, worship it. Worship it, just like the way someone will go to a shrine. Are you getting me? Where don their uniforms or whatever their castles, which is what exactly they did. Get a spiritual leader of that shrine to lead the prayers, and others will sing around it. Sometimes they dance around it. And this is exactly what was in the cathedral. Bishop, please help us out, Bishop. We are in a fix. Bishop.
This one is the cornerstone, the stone that they rejected. That's rejected.
This doesn't even look like corner. This stone cannot even go into the corner.
It's about almost 152 kg. So you probably need a lot of a tractor to move it from Edinburgh to London.
Oh, wow!
We thought as soon as it's gone. It's 152 kg, the stone, in terms of the weight.
Wow. Wow. And I think it's very, very important. I think we all have to go there and put our hands on it.
No, you can't touch it. You can't touch the stone. It's under serious security protection. The stone has its security. Archie, don't go. We can't come and rescue you.
Wow. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Yomi, before we leave us,
Well, all I will say again is that, the Starr Radio UK, it is not just over yet until it's over. As the weekend, we have a lot to discuss. Remember to use Sendways when you're sending money to your loved ones. But to catch up more, you always go on the Starr Radio UK website, which is www.starradiouk.com, where you can get all the blogs, the news, the reportage, and also the entertainment. I'll be back on Tuesday And when we're back, we'll be giving more headlines and other news. And like I always say, may Nigeria not happen to us as we leave you, but for now, in the good hands of Archie and Frank. Have a very good morning and a good afternoon and good evening if you're listening to us in Japan and Australia, where we have a lot of listeners on the Star Radio UK followership. Bye for now.
Bye, Yomi. Okay, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. We're going to be taking some musical break, and once we come back, we'll continue with the show. We're going to be looking at the election results here, and we're going to be looking at what is happening in Ghana as well, where yesterday we did talk about one of the opposition ministers, is it minister? MPs who was making a statement pertaining to the National Cathedral, which we've spoken at length about, and they were saying that, you know what, yeah, you were lying, blah blah blah, you tried to just cook some on edible stuff, but well, we'll be telling you more about that in a moment. So wherever you are, stay tuned, don't you go away. Enjoy this song. This one is from Stephen Marley. It's a cover version of Bob Marley's song, and he says Babylon System. Is that what we are experiencing in Africa? I bet you.
Welcome to the 75th celebration of the King. Sing Bob Marley. Love.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
We are what we are. That's the way it's going to be. If you don't know, you can't educate for no equal opportunity. Talking about my freedom. Talking about my freedom. People freedom and liberty. Yeah, we've been treading on the wine press much too long. Rebel. We've been taking for granted much too long. Rebel. Babylon system is the vampire. Yeah. Sucking the children day by day. Yeah. Me said it. The Babylon system, yes, the vampire. Falling empire. Sucking the blood of the sufferers. Yeah. Building church and you.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Oh yeah. Deceiving the people continually. Yeah. Me said them graduating thieves and murderers. Look out now, them sucking the blood of the sufferers. Yeah. Tell the children the truth. Tell the children the truth. Tell the children the truth. Come on. Tell the children the truth. 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 Come on and tell the children the truth. Tell the children the truth. Cause they're now treading
work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, do you feel you are being taken for granted wherever you are? Well, Starr Radio UK is going to be the mouthpiece for you, and that's where on this platform you are able to share your take with us, and we promise you one thing for sure, that we're going to be also sharing it with our worldwide listenership. So, the Babylon System by Stephen Marley, okay, one of the offsprings of the late Bob Marley. All right then, Starr Radio UK. Now, let me announce the lines open and let us continue from there. Now, if you want to join in the conversation, it's 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208-133-2257 or 58. You happen to be in the US, Canada, the Caribbean area, it's 001-718-303-2737 001-718-303-2737. Also, text or WhatsApp us. It's 07539661744, 07539661744, or you can tweet us at our Twitter ID. It's at Starr Radio UK. And email address is info@starradiouk.com. Whatever happens, make sure you get in touch with us. With me in the studio, Mr. Frank Davis, I'm Archie. Now let's come to the stories making the rounds here in the UK because of the elections that has taken place. I know Frank is enjoying the results so far, but is it good? Good enough, Frank?
Archie, good enough depends on the measure and the target you set for yourself. What we do know so far is that the Conservative, the governing party, are actually, suffering a battering. It will not have effect on the national policies, for now. But you see, in this country, it's a devolved governing system. The local assemblies have a lot of power when it even comes to local planning, because what they do is the Westminster will give overall legal framework. If you take housing association, you take council tax, for instance, you take permits even to build in certain areas, the government will set overall target, or this is what we want to do, and the councils are supposed to function within those laws. You think about how a rebate on whatever council tax is going to be. You think how housing repairs, potholes, and even car parking and other things. Those are some of the things that takes with being collection. Certain things that happens that affect us directly. These are the councils that are in charge. So far, actually, it's not looking a good story for the Conservatives. They've lost 254 with about less than, about 28% of the votes so far. Declared as 71 out of the 230. And that if you look about 27% being declared, then you expect that if the same trend should continue, not the north that they are very vulnerable hasn't started coming yet, because they are very vulnerable when it comes to Sandland and all those things. Those areas are not included in there. What we are having is the southern part where they were supposed, and especially the concerning which should be worrying them is areas that went to Brexit. If areas that went to Brexit, like Windsor, if they are losing Windsor, then it's becoming a problem. Then for me, it's a very, very, very weak sign. And you can see the Lib Dem. When it comes to areas around London, Windsor, Richmond, and all those areas, you can see the Lib Dem doing very well. Doing very well. They might not have ousted a lot of, apart from the gains that the Labour and Lib Dem have made, a lot of Blues have been turned into overall no control. And if you look at the overall no control that have been taken by Labour, you can predict that the next election, if we do not take time, they're going to take some of them, provided they're able to stay on the course that the trajectory that they are moving on. But actually, if I were a Conservative MP now, I would be worried. Because if you are Windsor, you are an MP over there. What will you? The number has just increased. The number has just increased. 256. 256 lost already. 256. You will be worried. You will seriously be worried.
But you'll be worried. But what can you do now? Because you are an MP. And we all see that they will also talk about the fact that the financial situation that we find ourselves in. Emmanuel said from the COVID, and then we have the Ukrainian conflict that is going on. But some people have talked about the fact that look at oil prices, look at the way Shell and BP are declaring big profit. Why are you not doing something about it for us to all feel?
Actually, if you look at the European Union, when these oil prices started going up and enormous profits were announced, we saw policies that went on windfall tax. I mean, the European Parliament backed it, and some of these companies, and they were willing to pay anyway. They pay some of this. You look at what is happening in the UK. I mean, they keep on telling us that they want these people to reinvest their money. They reinvest. So, are they reinvesting in new oil fields? Are they going to reinvest in bringing money into green energy and other stuff? Are they going to build battery factories? Are they going to subsidize electric cars? If BP today comes and says, okay, all those who buy electric cars, we're putting in 5 billion to subsidize the electric car for the UK consumer. That would be a bit of relief. That would be a bit of relief. But they're not doing it. What they are doing, they declare the dividend for shareholders. And most of these shareholders are connected people. Yes, you can buy it at stock exchange, but we know there are certain things that there are certain shares that are already held that you cannot do anything.
The majority stake.
You cannot do anything. So if people are struggling, suffering, and on a daily basis, the announcements that we see are that these people are making so much profit, and we continue to suffer, then it's a problem. At the end of the day, they told us the oil prices are gone up, but the oil prices are coming down. The oil prices over the last few weeks have been coming down.
Now 80
right. But the price that they are selling us, they're saying, it's still high. When it was 100, we were buying petrol at about 160. Now it's about 80. If you take it, that's about 20% drop. Will you say the same percentage drop when it comes to the pump? We're still paying about 150. Are you getting me? Which is even less than a 10% drop in this end. And what is happening? So for me, it still goes to the government policy. What are you doing? How are you? They'll tell you, we're helping. What do you call it? We're helping households energy. And the other thing is, you see, the teachers are on strike. The nurses are on strike. I mean, waiting time on NHS emergency is increased. And this is something that these are things that are affecting people's life. When they keep on telling us there's no money, someone will say no. I mean, there's money, because at the end of the day, when it comes to Ukraine, they're able to print the amount of money they want to basically buy arms and retool it. Someone say yes, they justify this thing, yet we understand, but you don't think this is emergency. Cost of living is not emergency. So I'm happy. They've stayed in government for too long. I think it's about time they get most of them out of the councils.
But do you think that the Labour leader and his crew now are in, let me put it this way, pole position to actually take the reins come next year if we go for election, especially when there seems to be some sort of a split in the Labour Party as well?
If elections were held today nationwide, I would have no doubt that Labour will win the election. As to what elections, a day can make a change. You remember and you will recall that a day actually toppled Gordon Brown. The big God, and then what do you call it? When they went, I agree with Nick. I agree with Nick. Those two,
that finished him.
That finished him. It's like you were already down. He died himself here no fall. But this one, he was down. He was being, I agree with Nick, and that's actually, killed him. So anything at all is possible when it comes to politics. Anything at all is possible. I wouldn't rule the Conservatives above. From what we haven't or what we are seeing, is going to be increasingly very, very difficult for them. What we expect, probably this time they will not do it, is to trigger the nuclear and to say that, look, you've had 7 months, and we can't. You've basically lowered our election for them. He'll tell you, no, it was your decision to give trust. What do you call it? A 49-day experiment, which actually crashed our economy. When I came, I've been trying my best, and I pulled I'm almost through with the Brexit deal with Northern Ireland. Our cost of living, we're fixing it. We're working. We've just announced huge investment in chip industry, a 10 billion to go there. So things will come down. You see, I've stabilized the market. As to whether myself, who goes to pay for energy, I'm going to listen to that, no. Whether they're going to use this election is okay, we are doubling or tripling, or we are extending, the energy subsidy that we are giving, maybe.
If they do that, you think it will
there are a lot of things that they can do. Actually, a lot of people are suffering.
Yeah, of course.
Cost of living in these countries is true. Ghana, things are suffering. Go to Africa, things are, but actually, look, let me take the basic item. If you work at a percentage from 99p to 120, it's almost a 20%.
Yeah.
And that was what they call it, cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Has gone. Cheeseburger was 99p.
You're going to call it £1, and now
yes, now it's 199, it's 119, which is almost 120.
Yeah.
So that is why you look at 20% of cheese.
Meanwhile, your income has not gotten that.
That is what you're looking at. You go to buy tiro, it's gone up. There's nothing that hasn't gone up. Yesterday I was looking at ripe plantain. What I used to buy for what they call it, 3 for £1.
Yeah,
it's now £1.50p.
Yeah,
I told them no. I will.
That's what we buy, £1.49 for 3 green ones. Interesting.
I think I might have to go and concentrate on my plantation.
Your plantation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen to Star Radio UK. 10 minutes past 12 the time. We ran behind time, but we'll push it and try to get through. Now, interestingly, some voters were angered by the rules saying that they should bring IDs. The story said the voters, James Greenhalgh from Leeds, said he was livid after being unable to vote in Thursday's local election, having left his passport at home. Now, you were told that you should bring your an ID, okay, and it wasn't just like a week ago or a month ago. Long time. They gave ample time for that to happen. Do you think that could also have hampered the chances?
Actually, do you know that there are some people born and bred in this country who don't have IDs?
Yeah.
They don't have passport.
They don't want to travel nowhere.
They don't. For them, they were born, bred, and battered. That's it. All they have probably bank account.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people even don't have bank accounts.
Yeah.
They go to post office. They put their this in. So people like that, what do you do? Besides, this man might have forgotten his passport. Do not forget that there are people with conditions that can make them forget certain things. What we do for such people? Because if I have such a condition and I'm living and I forgot, what do I do? So I think although IDs might be important, we must strategically have a look at how do we target those who are vulnerable, because people have dementia, a bit of dementia. It happens sometimes. People they may have carers and other things, but you see, when it's starting, you wouldn't know. We often forget. What do you do with such people? Do you actually deprive them the most basic right that they have to participate in a democratic process to elect the people they want to serve them?
Do you think it's a ploy to get, back in the day, the Conservatives were trying to introduce, I think Theresa May's time, they were trying to introduce ID card, that everybody will have an ID card. It is a ploy to say, well, you have to vote, so ultimately you need to get yourself an ID card. So if you don't have a passport, you don't want to travel, so let everybody get an ID card. Because this man who said he forgot his passport was saying that the passport is too big for him to be carrying passport around, going to town and stuff like that. We didn't use that. So do you think it's a ploy to?
I hope his passport is not a Bible.
Maybe he's traveled a lot, so he's got it like that.
You see, Archie, I think what they're trying to do, they claim they are illegal immigrants in this country who are not entitled to vote.
Okay.
And the Conservatives, what they've been saying is that where it seems just like what happened in the US, where you see the minority, the black population, where they are concentrated. You see the Republican losing a lot of votes over there. You saw what happened at Pennsylvania, where they were almost
wiped out.
Is it Pennsylvania? Was it Pennsylvania? One of those states. Fellas will remind us. Look, when it was actually on the on the edge until votes started coming from the
Yeah,
you know,
I've forgotten that is in
okay. So the Conservatives have always seen that when you look at
postal votes,
yeah, when you look, not even the postal vote, even the postal, but if you look at voting within where the
black communities,
communities were residing, there was a kind of a lot. And in the UK, when you take the map of electoral outcomes, where there seems to be minority, Labour tends to do more in those areas. Instead of addressing the problem, why, they are looking at how do we stop it. The problem I think Conservative will have going forward, the population is that the minority are giving birth more, especially the Indians, the Pakistanis, they are giving birth more in this country than the white themselves. So increasingly, areas that normally, if you look at Kent, blacks are moving towards Kent, Ashford, and all those Maidstone areas. So very soon, areas that used to be, you take Basildon, the Indians, the Pakistanis are gradually creeping into those areas. You go to SS, areas that used to be predominantly white is now increasingly Nigerians are moving to. Now, increasingly, within the next 15, 20 to 30 years, they'll take over in those areas. The whites are moving more to Somerset and even that Bristol is now extending towards those areas. Actually, so increasingly, we now have a gay population too. Now, if you take the gay and lesbian population between the blacks and the white, disproportionately the majority are concentrated within the white community, and therefore population-wide is having impact, and therefore we're going to have impact on voting anyway. Conservatives should now be asking themselves, and the Republicans should be asking themselves, why is it that traditionally these people have not been voting for us? What have we done? What can we do? For instance, if you take Croydon area, I mean, they're trying to now divide Croydon into 3 areas, 4. Now we have Reed, who is actually the Taunton Heath area. Then you have Johnson, who is actually at the other side of it. Now, what they want to do, if you look at the where we are in Croydon, from Taunton Heath areas are predominantly the minority, the Jamaicans, the blacks, and then going to Lower Discombe, where you have a lot of black community also over there. So they're going to push Reed. They're going to carve a lot of Reed from Crystal Palace. Coming down to Addiscombe is going to be one constituency. Then from what do you call it? The town hall area towards Selsdon is going to be another constituency. Then from Selsdon back to Cozen, Pelly area will also be another constituency. Now, if you analyze the voters trend in this, when it gets to Selsdon going to Pelly, Cozen is Conservatives. So they want to neutralize the 2 MPs that you do have over here, because Jensen, who is now the mayor, how did he win? He won because what they call it, Labour lost a lot of votes at Lower Addiscombe area and Upper Norwood area to take initiative. The black-led party. Yes, they were damaged. They came to cause damage. They took. If you look at the votes that they got, and you look at the only 500 votes different between the Labour candidate, and if you look at what take initiative, they clock almost 5,000 votes, and disproportionately, I mean, coming from the Lower Discombe and all those areas, are you getting it? Conservatives should now be asking, do we fetch a black guy, a black lady, a minority, an Indian person to take over Cozen area on our ticket, to take over so that we can have fair representation, a bit of, to see if we can attract. They're not going to do it.
Well, somebody will say that they've done that for the mayoral candidate. So their mayoral candidate, the new one who is coming in, is also a black, because they're thinking that London is becoming predominantly, or the minorities seem to be increasing. If you put somebody there like that, it will neutralize the Labour Party.
Actually, where there's clear evidence that he might not win. Okay, here we're talking about where you strategically go. To target area that you know there's a 70% chance of you winning. Okay. Because Cozen area is not going to turn black or Indian for a very long time. But what do? You get someone, a minority over there, to be able to hold on to that seat and then begin, as the population is extending, begin to be able to draw those people closer to you. They're not going to do it. Are you getting me? So actually they have to be asking the question why. Again, they have to look at their policies. Here you have someone, a descendant of an immigrant, calling people who are fleeing war
criminals
as criminals. Are you getting me? Exactly. If I am an Indian man, if I'm a Pakistani, if I am a black, not if I am a black, if I hear you telling me that someone who is fleeing conflict in Benghazi is a criminal, I want to question your mental status. I want to question your mental status. Are you getting me? So I am not going to be happy if I hear you telling me that a brother who is coming from, Syria is going to be renditioned to Rwanda just because they are fleeing war. I am not going to be happy. I am not going to be happy with you, because at the end of the day, knowing that you participated in bombing that country,
and you have
knowing that
you
caused the arrest in Iraq and other things, and today the descendants of those you killed, children and children of those you killed, are coming back, and all you can tell them is that you are criminals for fleeing the troubles that I participated in causing. I'm not going to be happy. So conservatives will now have to re-examine how they approach and the kind of language that they use. And for me, I don't think it's helping them. What they want to do now is they want to please. They know it's because those language that you're saying, those words that are strong, we appear to be strong, and it's because of this local election. And here it's come, they didn't do enough. As we speak, 261, 273 declared. 73 declared, 261 lost. I pray they go to 1,000 lost.
I saying that if they get to 1,000, that would be a serious.
Actually, I foresee, because we're now heading toward the north.
Where
we're now heading toward the north. We're heading to. I'm pleased with the results I'm seeing, especially for the Green Party. I'm very happy with the Green Party.
Well, listeners, it is Star Radio UK 12:21. We'll be going to Kent for the Money Hour, but let's quickly touch on a couple of stories. The leader of the Russian Wagner Group has threatened to withdraw his troops from the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut by Wednesday in a row of ammunition. His statement came after he posted a gruesome video of him walking among dead fighters' bodies, asking defense officials for more supplies. Now, Russia has been trying to capture the city for months, despite its questionable strategic value. So, I thought Russia was doing their best, but I don't know because this Wagner group, they are the ones who are fighting. Let me call it the dirty part of the war. They are the ones because they are from prisons. People who they think, okay, after the war, maybe we send for 3 months, and after that we release you, you can go. So those are what are doing that. Is that why the government seem not to be paying attention to them?
I think for me, I think it's a disappointment. I listened to that news, and I think if Russians are serious at all about what they want to do, I think they have to, because they've accepted this group as part of their fighting force, and therefore there should not be any reason why they should hold on to arms unless the intelligence that they are running out of ammunition is what is happening. I don't think Putin is going to be happy seeing this story. Something similar like that happened. Some generals were fired. Let's see what happened, but I think it's a very telling moment, because all those bodies were killed yesterday. Telling moments.
Well, listeners, whilst we some are supporting Ukraine and others think otherwise, whatever life that is lost is not worth it. No, nobody should lose their life for fighting or anything of the sort, but it's happening. Well, listeners, Star Radio UK, we're going to be running up very soon. Now, an 18-year-old Ghanaian girl has become the youngest chartered accountant. And I like celebrating us, because most of the time we don't have good stories coming from that part. So when I see things like that, I celebrate it. And then this week, I think on Tuesday evening, BB Clement also sent me a lady, a Ghanaian lady, who happens to be, I think, one of the deputies in the Bank of England.
A 40-year-old.
A 40-year-old.
Free or something like that.
And I looked at it and I said, this is something that we can be proud of. So what do you think?
Actually, it's about we congratulate him. And for me, there are geniuses like that in the system. My pastor, for instance, Dr. Marco, became a medical doctor at the age of 17. So there are people like that within the system, and there are people that you do not come across quite often. I'm only praying that the system does not destroy her. I'm only praying that the system does not destroy her. At the end of the day, we should support whatever she's doing. I just wish that she can go ahead to pursue what she's doing. I think she did well taking the business administration course and doing this also as and I think it's the best option, because at the end you're already studying some of those materials anyway. You're already studying some of those materials. So I think we congratulate her. She should focus. She need a bit of guidance. I'll pray that they pull him down. Attitude, pull head down strategy or attitude that is within our system do not become something that destroy this girl.
Because I'm looking at the brain drain system, because if she looks at the environment that she is in and she's not going to be given the leverage to function the way and put everything that she's got in there, the next moment somebody outside will be looking for people like that, and then boom, she's gone. Of
course someone, I just hope a firm in Ghana that is repeatable enough picks her up. That's what I'm hoping. But she'll be joined like the Losh and Tush, and those are the people who are going to be hunting for.
Okay, a final story. Japan is pledging to help Mozambique fight terrorism. Now, after the Second World War, I've not heard Japan actually in the forefront of any war of that sort. But Mozambique has had a barrage of attack from terrorism. Remember when they were just rampaging the place. But now Japan is the one that I remember the Nigerian president Buhari going to promise that I was going to help them to fight, and we were saying that he's not been able to fight his own menace, the Boko Haram, in his backyard, and yet he was saying that. But do you think Japan can do that?
Haji, I stand to be corrected, but I do not think Japan are noted for anti-terrorism. Someone could say, well, probably it's because they've succeeded in tightening their security and done a great job. That's why we do not have the kind of tension, the kind of this thing that we have in other places. So it's not something that they are noted for. However, I think they're also a sophisticated country. You know what, Archie? There's another thing, the angle that I'm looking at it from, and this has to do with geopolitics. A lot of geopolitics. If you look at what is happening between Iran, basically you have 4 countries that are basically joining this fight. The fifth is also getting close to them. You look at the Russians, you look at China, you look at North Korea, and then you're looking at Iran. Syria is also over there. Brazil is trying to play, but Brazil is playing on a financial territory. But when it comes to arm race and all those things, you look at these 4 countries that are basically working together. Now, I will not rule out the influence of America, Britain, and the Europeans in trying to push Japan there to go. I mean, if you look at Ghana, for instance, China is dragging its feet about that situation, and IMF again is dragging its feet, trying to get some reforms done. Japan has jumped in to offer Ghana 500 million. Is it because they see that they are losing out Japan has always partnered African countries. I remember back in the day, JICA and all those. They've always done it good. They've always done good. But the area of terrorism, are they also looking to start selling arms? I don't know.
Maybe they'll be manufacturing some.
It's something that is baffling me. But we'll see. I mean, anything that will stop innocent people dying, we welcome it.
Okay. Listeners, we're going to be running up. I've been saying that how many times? But the Pope has defrogged Rwandan priest accused of fathering a child. Now, when it comes to Africa, I mean, most places, I mean, people will not officially declare that this person, this clergy, or I don't know how they call themselves, is the father of that. But there is a lot of it there. And what about those who have been abusing? I mean, I can say it because we know that there have been lots of cases where there's alleged abusing of children and stuff like that.
Not even alleged, abuse. I mean, the evidence has come out already.
Yeah. But the Pope has come out. Is it because this man hails from Africa? It says that Pope Francis has sacked the 64-year-old clergyman of Rwandan descent, Wenceslas Moyashaka, who had been serving in northern France for close to 30 years. The Bishop of Everett issued a communique which has been circulating online, stating that Moyashaka is excluded from continuing to serve as a priest anywhere else and automatically loses clerical rights. Now, I've not seen them going after Caucasians who are said to have done worse off. The person didn't say that the clergy raped the person and she conceived. Well, I know that in the others they agreed that, well, I want to be there's a celibacy and therefore you abstain from sex. Okay, now we know they had that, yet there's all sorts going on. So why is he targeting this Rwanda?
I think the Pope is right in this case. Look, the image that the public will have about the whole institution of Catholic priests, nun and other things. I know a pastor. I mean, I'm not a father who has children. I'm not going to mention the name of her. I know. I mean, because the girl she fathered 2 children is a friend of mine. Okay, in Ghana.
Father Frank.
Father Frank.
We call him that.
So at the end of the day, we know a lot of them within the communities do have children. As to how they found out about this one is something that we do not know. But once it's been found out and proven to be true, then Vatican must act.
Okay.
If they do not act, they will be seen as condoning.
Okay.
And then going against one of the most sacred principles that they've had. I know a conversation I mean, a few months ago, there was a conversation whether they're going to lift that ban on this, because there's nothing biblical about it. There's nothing biblical about it. But do they want to lift it? Is something that, but they've not lifted it yet. Once they've not lifted it, you've sworn an allegiance, you've sworn an oath to God, the papacy, and I mean your congregants, that you will stay sacred to the court. You knew, because you enjoy certain benefits. You know that you are not supposed to father a child, right? But you've gone to father a child. You've gone against it. I mean, he should have even been resigning in my place, because you've gone against the oath that you took. In my view, if and as and when they relax the regulations and you father a child, why not? But I think the Pope has done the best thing, because at the end of the day, the must show as being strong. The must show as upholding, I mean, what makes them who they are today, until there's such a time where there's a change.
Let's try to just run up. Now, do you think, I'm looking at the Pope, I mean, because he's that old. Now, if you have maybe a younger person as a Pope, do you think there are going to be lots of reforms in the Catholic Church, especially looking at the fact that when we talk about Peter, they have the St. Peter's Basilica or whatever. Peter was married, he had children. Okay, now it was Paul who wasn't married, and he was saying that because of the way he moved around and the thing that he was doing, he didn't have the time to say, I want to have a family and do that. That's why he was okay. So with everything, the debate and the thing that is going on, do you think they're going to get to a point where they're going to say that, look, like you said, let's live this? When a younger person
that conversation has already started. It started. I mean, Pope Francis has even started that conversation, and I just believe that it's just a matter of time, because some of these people are so hooked and linked to that idea of this, and I think they'll start as a choice first, and then gradually whosoever will can have.
Yeah,
I think the nuns will be happy.
And the women will be happy because at least to release some more men who are in the,
they are in captive.
market.
They are in captive. The nuns will be happy because once they are doing it for the men, the nuns will also be free.
Yeah.
You know, the nuns. I mean, it's the same thing that happened. There was a nun who got pregnant, was also expelled from. I mean,
she could have said that it's Holy Spirit.
That's why I was even this bishop. I'm even trying to find out whether it's not Jesus that is in. Well, Joseph was married.
Yes.
Joseph was married, but this one we cannot say that he was married. You know, so.
Okay, listeners, we have to end it here. We're going to be going to Ken for the money hour with our money man. Today we're going to be talking about Ponzi schemes there. But before we go, Frank.
Archie, let's wish the queen, the king. The king.
We love the queen too much.
I love the queen. I mean, let's
listen. As you know what he celebrated. He was celebrating his birthday the same day as the queen. Now the queen is gone, so he didn't want to celebrate.
I don't. Now the queen is gone. My only source of happiness is gone. So actually tomorrow is going to be a historic event. We will not. Some of us might not be able to see another one like that.
We will see because this one he is old already.
You never can tell.
Willie is going to become.
You never can tell.
Well, you know.
You never can tell. So. Where you are, they take your blood and put another fresh blood.
Take your hip and replace it with
of metal. Before you say a robot king. So actually, but those of us in London, security has been heightened.
Yeah.
They've stepped up security operation. That's going to continue from now going. If you're driving, be extra careful. There are a lot of there are a lot of there's people in town. So just be careful. And I wish everybody a great weekend.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, listeners, we bring the first part of the program to a close where we take you to Kent, where our money man is Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GL Accountancy Services, who's going to be bringing you the money hour. So wherever you are, stay tuned, don't you go away. Ponzi schemes, enjoy that.
Pleasure coming your way again this Friday afternoon.
Yes. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, by God's grace.
Thank God for that. Okay. Now, it's an interesting topic that you picked today that you want to address because you said those are some of the questions that people have been putting to you. Yes? So, Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, so this is something that, should I say, we have been afflicted with for quite a long time. You know, the Ponzi schemes and the pyramid schemes have been around, you know, since business and money, you know, as forms, using currency and all that as forms of mediums of exchange. They've been around us for a long time. And, you know, they come back, they go and come back to us in various disguised ways and forms. But essentially, they have the same characteristics. And a lot of people have fallen victims to some of these schemes. And so I've had questions come to me regarding Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes. And I thought we might take the opportunity to educate listeners on what these schemes are and to be able to watch out for them and to know exactly what they are investing into.
Wow. Listeners, that's Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services. For all your accounting issues, money issues, he is a man to see. Okay, so now let's address it. What makes a scheme a Ponzi one?
Well, Ponzi schemes are usually are based on fraudulent investment management services. So you have a situation where investors contribute money to a portfolio manager who promises them a high return. And then when those investors want their money back paid out, it becomes an issue. Because what happens is that the investor, really there's no real investment activity going on in the scheme. What they do is that they collect your money and pay you a high return. So the more people he's able to get into the scheme, then he's able to continue paying those high returns up until a point where he's got enough money or enough in his portfolio that he thinks that he cannot afford or he can do away with the scheme. Then what mostly happens is that before you know, the person, as happened in the Piram, as you mentioned, the person just goes with the money and the company closes down and all the scheme and the investments come crashing down and people lose their money. So that's what the Ponzi scheme is based on. Essentially, there is no what we call no real investment at all. A case at the moment, there's a question to be asked whether a recent case in Ghana, which we are all familiar with, which we refer to as NAM1.
NAM1, yeah.
For example, would you call that a Ponzi scheme or a real investment? As far as we are aware, people were made to believe that there were real investments taking place in the form of gold. I do not have the details to be able to certify whether that is true or not. But the high returns that were paid characteristically, shows that this might be possibly a Ponzi scheme and one that is not real. The attraction there is the high interest and the high returns that is being paid out. And what people find out is that so long as you keep paying, so long as they keep paying the returns and the interest, people are attracted, and you find that people getting these returns are so want more so much that what they have even received they put back into the scheme. And so they eventually, when the person takes their money and runs away with it, everything is gone. So that's the situation we find ourselves in at the moment. The most famous Ponzi scheme in recent history had to do with a gentleman called Bernard Madoff. He took away about 5,000 clients' money into his account and spent it lavishly and blew all the money. I think Bernard Madoff died in prison. He was sentenced to life. He died in prison, I think, about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big Ponzi, a big scheme. Ever since, we've had several of these other people have modeled this and tried to repackage it and present it, but the simple or the common thread in all these schemes is a high interest being paid, which in most cases is unrealistic because you will not invest in there's no other avenue that you can invest that can give you that high investment return.
Interesting. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, the Money Hour with Mr. Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services. For all your accounting issues, you have to get in touch with him and he will help you on that front. Today we are looking at Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, and all those schemes that are there. So follow us. If you have any questions, please feel free. You can call in and add your voice to the discussion, ask your question, or text or WhatsApp us, and I promise you I'll be putting your question across to him. This is Tabiri now. So what is the difference between the Ponzi scheme and the pyramid scheme?
So the pyramid scheme, Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes, both of them have similar characteristics around them. One, individuals get attracted by investors who promise them extraordinary returns. In contrast to regular investment, these types of schemes can offer consistent profit, and only as long as the number of investors continue to increase. Since start to wear off once the number, the rate at which people are joining the scheme start to drop off. Then that is where the investor or whoever is the promoter now start to think about the exit strategy, how to get out of the scheme, because then it shows that the scheme is about to collapse. Ponzi schemes are outright fraud. Ponzi schemes are illegal in many jurisdictions around the world. So Ponzi schemes are illegal, and if they are all underground, they are in unregulated markets, and so you have to be very careful. The key thing here is that if the offer on the table is too good to be true, then you have to be careful, because people are lured or induced by the high interest payments that are being made. A pyramid scheme in itself sometimes can come in the form of what they call a multi-level marketing business model, where members sometimes are asked to pay a fee to invest in a business, and then they are in turn promised, various amounts of payments for recruiting other people to likewise invest in and join the business. Sometimes these pyramid schemes, involve the sale of products, and occasionally you might find that there are some reputable products on the market that are attached to the scheme, just to give it legitimacy, or to give it, a covering away from the pyramid scheme. But essentially, if you look at what these schemes are, they all promise very high returns. They all promise very constant profit. And these are high risk investments, and yet it's presented as if there are no risks attached at all, and you'd only reap profit. There's no legitimate business which would give you high profits without any risk. So if you are entering into any of these, you have to know that there are dangerous risks that you might end up losing all of your investment. And one thing I would like to say also is that about the pyramid scheme is that it depends on when you join in the pyramid. So if you join the pyramid at the top, you might enjoy the benefits of the pyramid for longer, because people who join later on under your network, you would be able to benefit or enjoy the proceeds from their investment. But if you join the scheme at a much lower level of the pyramid, then you are much closer to the point where the pyramid is going to collapse, and that is where the danger lies. So definitely, personally, I wouldn't put myself into any pyramid scheme, because I do not know at what level that my investment is going to be placed and what risk I'm putting my investment in. So pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes, people have to be really, really careful about what they have been offered.
Okay, interesting. Listeners, I hope that you are being educated. Like we told you, we edutain. So we not just entertain you, we educate you as well. And this afternoon we have Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of JL Accountancy Services and Money Man, educating us on Ponzi and pyramid schemes. Now, this brings to a question here, which most people who are listening to us are eager to ask. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin. Is it a Ponzi scheme? Is it a pyramid? Right.
So, before we look at Bitcoin, let's look at to help us answer that question. Okay. What are the characteristics of a Ponzi scheme that we look at? So, one, it offers high returns with little or no risk. Two, it offers overly consistent returns. So they'll tell you every week you get your money, you get this amount, and or every month you get this amount. Usually, always Ponzi schemes are with unregistered investments.
Okay.
So they are not on any known market. They are not regulated by the FCA, for example. They are issued or they are run by unlicensed sellers. So it's all done, in secrecy. You won't have a high street, bank or investment office, selling or advertising or displaying this openly. It's usually done by word of mouth, where there's no trace to this because it's an illegal activity. And then you also find that when at a point when you want to take out your investments, it's always difficult. They will put in your way impediments to stop you from taking out your investment. Yeah, so these are the main characteristics of a Ponzi scheme. None of these actually relate to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, like other what we call cryptocurrencies or digital currencies, are currencies that are traded on markets, on currency markets, just as we have dollars, euros, CDs, or any other currency in the world. But Bitcoin is digital. Bitcoin is not issued by any central government. Bitcoin is also, an investment that is a high risk investment because it has high return. Bitcoin can be used to purchase any commodity. So if for example I want to purchase a car and the seller, access to take payment or consideration in a form of Bitcoin, it can be used as a medium of exchange. So Bitcoin there are other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin has risen to the top and has become very popular because of its special characteristic in the way that the Bitcoin is mined. Yes, so Bitcoin, in effect, to answer your question, Bitcoin is not a Ponzi scheme, but it's a high risk investment.
High risk investment. So, I know. You don't have the legal backing, or you cannot tell somebody to, hey, go and invest there. Will you advise people to take the risk and invest there?
Well, that is what you said. It depends. It's a high risk investment. It depends on what your risk appetite is.
Okay.
Bitcoin price at the moment is very high. It used to be higher than it is currently. So, and the trend, they'll tell you that the market trend shows that it's very volatile. It goes very high one moment and drops very low the next moment.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you're doing, and you need to know at what point to join to buy Bitcoin and at what point to sell. You need to know what you're doing in this market. Don't just go in, because everybody's talking about Bitcoin. Understand what the risks are before you do it. Yeah.
Okay. One Bitcoin today, I've just checked it, is at 39,453 pounds. That's the value for one. Okay. Yes. So it's quite a big investment there.
It is a big investment because a lot of people have put money into it, and the demand for Bitcoin is very high, and the value is determined by demand and supply. So as more people demand or want to buy Bitcoin, the higher the price goes. So if you've got some Bitcoin, then you can sit back and watch other people drive the price up for you. So it's like any other investment, but high risk.
Okay, like any other high risk investment. Thank you. Before we run up now, if somebody is finding themselves in some of these Ponzi schemes, now what do you think they should do at the moment to get themselves either out of it, or can they report to maybe the regulator or the SPA, as you said? Can they report something of the sort to them to see whether they can retrieve their money or cut their costs or their losses and just move on?
Yeah, Ponzi schemes are illegal, so I would advise you to try and do whatever you can to take your investments out, and then perhaps you can report them to the FCA. So so they can stop, duping other people.
Okay.
But by all means, try and get your investment out first, because you don't want to alarm them to run away with your money, because these things are run underground. There are no official sources where you can go for redress, and because they are illegal, if you go and you lose your investment, it's not supported or guaranteed, by the government or anybody. You've lost your investment, and that's it.
A friend did made a statement. He said, if you use fake currency to go and buy cocaine, and you are swindled, you cannot report to the police. So something that, if you are listening to us, take a cue from that and make sure that you are doing things that is above water. Okay, Mr. Tabiri, your final remarks, and then you can put your contact details and everything across before we bring the program to a close.
Yes, so my final remarks are, we should not be afraid to go to look at, various investments on the market, but make sure that you go to the right person, you go to the right source. Don't be greedy and be attracted by overly consistent or high returns, because that is the attraction. That is the way they attract people to invest in these things. Go to the right places, get there. You can even approach your bank and then say, I've got this amount of money and I want to invest it. Where is the best place to do it? And there are financial advisors in there who can, show you what the options are and what the risk and the returns are on various investments, and then you can make the decision. Okay. If you want any advice on any of the issues that we've discussed, I'm happy to do so. You can contact me on 07961248834, 07961248834, or you can reach me on email at dan@gilaccountants.com.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Why posted ourselves? Oh, evil man. Playing smart and not being clever. Oh no, I said you're working iniquity to achieve vanity. If I saw of the goodness of Jaja, I endure it forever. So if you want a victory, let me tell you that.
Thanks for listening.
You're the small eyes, love and ready to punch you down. World sharp, sharpened to cut you down. Let me tell you that we are the